Welcome to Veterans Archives, where your story matters. We are dedicated to preserving the stories of our nation's heroes for future generations.
Today is Thursday, February 6th. We're talking with Donald Kettlewell, who served in the United States Navy. So good afternoon, Don, and welcome.
Thank you.
All right, it's great to see you this afternoon, and we're just gonna jump right in. And I'm wondering, when and where were you born?
I was born actually in Grosse Pointe Farms, Michigan. I was born April 3rd, 1949.
Okay. What was it like growing up as a kid?
I had a great childhood. Where I lived, well, actually I was born, not born, but I started out in Detroit. I don't know if you'd call it the city. It was on Biltmore Street. Nothing there, just all houses built up. Our neighbors, they had 8 boys, straight boys.
That's a lot of boys.
Yeah,
Oof.
yeah. And I used to hang out over there. We'd go over and we'd get in together, rocking on the couch, all the boys.
Mm-hmm.
The first one that left the home, he got married. Their first child was a girl. And that was a big deal then. But we left there, and when we left, I was around 4 or 5 years old. We moved out to Mount Clemens, and we moved into a big home, and it was on a canal. And the day that we moved, I was wearing a little hooded jacket. Like I said, I was about 4 or 5 years old. And when I got out of the car, I saw this thing that looked like a road. And it had all green on it. I thought it was a road myself. So I went running, and I wanted to jump on it because I thought it was grass.
Mm-hmm.
When I jumped, well, it was a canal full of water, and the hood filled up with air. And that hood kept me floating, the only thing that kept me alive. And my dad got out there and he pulled me out of the water. So,
Well, as a parent, that would be terrifying.
I guess it would have been to my mom and dad, yeah.
But
to me, it was fun because I was in the water.
just a little adventure, right?
It was pretty fun, but yeah, that was the first experience moving out to I guess you'd call it the country then.
Yeah.
Because we looked across the street, or I looked across the street, nothing but woods.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere you looked, it was all woods. And as I grew up, it was great. I mean, woods everywhere. And as I got older, I was allowed to go out and just run around and meet people, meet friends. And I met a couple guys. Andy Aiken, he was my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to go to his house, and then we'd go out into the woods and we would make tree forts. By the time I was 7, that's when when they were building, if they were building houses anywhere around, we would take wood, any wood that we could find, take it out to the woods and build a tree fort.
Yeah.
By the time I was 10, we had 3 tree forts built. And then I met a gentleman down the road from me, 3 roads down, and he had a boat that he was going to sell. And I talked to him about it, and he told me that if my dad would give me permission, he would sell it to me.
Mm-hmm.
I had to have a paper route to be able to pay for it. So I talked to my dad. He told me to get a paper route, make the money, and then I could buy it. So I talked to the local paper route in our area, which is the Macomb Daily.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy told me, he said he was looking for somebody to start a paper route out there. And I did. I started the paper route. And I had, I think it was 12 or 13 streets, which was a pretty big route.
That's a lot of papers.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was.
Yeah.
I would do half the route, come back and get the other papers to finish the other route, other side of the route.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked out pretty good. And I got enough money, I had enough money to buy the boat and with the 10-horse Johnson.
That's pretty exciting.
So, well, it was good. It worked out nice. I got the boat, bought the motor. It was 10-horse Johnson. I do my paper route. After school, I do my paper route, get in the boat, go out on the lake. That was my fun. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd rather do that than anything else. I mean, if I had chores, I'd get them done, cut the grass, and at the time we had a pretty big lawn.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it was fun growing up. I mean,
Tell me a little bit about your dad and your mom. So what did your dad do for a living?
my dad was a grinder hand in Detroit.
Uh-huh.
From what I understood, he was one of the highest paid grinder hands in the city of Detroit. He worked at a place called Schwartz Machine.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty good at it too, and very, very smart. He was in World War II. He was over in the Liberation. Didn't talk much about it, didn't want to.
Yeah.
And we didn't ask him much about it. So, and we knew not to.
Yeah. I think a
So-
lot of those guys came home and just wanted to put it behind them.
Yeah.
Right? It was
Yeah.
done, and they were ready to move forward. What about your mom? Was she a housewife, or did she work outside the home?
She was a good housewife,
Uh-huh.
a good mom. There were 8 of us in the family.
I was going to ask that question.
Yeah. There were 5 boys, 3 girls.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was diabetic, but with all the kids in the family, she had to do a lot of baking. She got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to make my dad breakfast. Then she'd take a nap before his kids had to get up for school. Then during the day, she would do baking to make sure his kids had enough. And being diabetic and baking sweets for us kids, that was tough for her.
Yeah.
A couple times she wound up in the hospital. One time I wound up in the hospital with her, and I saw her laying in the bed.
Mm-hmm.
And that scared me pretty bad. And I was scared for my mom because I wasn't sure what it was all about.
Yeah.
But that was that.
Where did you fall in the pecking order in your family?
I was third.
You were third.
Yes.
So you were almost the middle kid.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
pretty
because
close.
with 8, there's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Did you find that you were friends with your brothers and sisters? Like, were they kind of part of your friend group? or
No. Flat out, no.
whatever? Yeah. Well,
Well, my oldest brother, his name was Alan. He was, I would say, probably 7 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie was 1 year older than me because that was the war difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Eddie was 1 year older than me, then it was me. And Darlene was 1 year younger than me. And Pamela was 3 years younger than me. And then it went Gary, Larry, and Candy.
Mm-hmm.
We called them the second family because they were the little kids.
Right.
So, but we were a normal family. There was arguing going on all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, we got along.
Yeah. Well, and I think with those age differences, it makes a lot of sense. If there were one kid after another, then I could see maybe a little bit
Yeah.
closer friendship there. But so tell me about school. What was school like for you?
School,
Yeah.
It was all right.
Uh-huh.
You know, yeah. I mean, school.
Just something you had to do, right?
Yeah, you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah.
So elementary school was fun. Junior high was okay. High school, we got through it. The only thing is I dropped out in my senior year because I knew more than they did.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie about it. I mean, that's the way I felt. When my dad found out about it, that was a different story. 3 options. Go back to high school, get my diploma, get a job and give him my paycheck. That wasn't going to happen.
No.
Or go in the military. I chose the third one.
Mm-hmm.
And what it was going to be was the Navy because of the water. So I went in the Navy.
So that was kind of your determining factor. You liked the water.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love the water. So I joined the Navy in 1967,
Mm-hmm.
and my dad dropped me off at the induction center. Went down there. When I was going through the line, getting my physical and all the good stuff, they found out that I had a spinal cyst. And they said, you know, you don't have to go. I said, what are you talking? What? Also flat feet.
Right.
But they said you don't have to go. I said, what are you talking about? And that's when they told me I had the cyst.
Mm-hmm.
Flat feet then, it didn't matter because of Vietnam.
Right.
But the cyst, they said if I signed the papers, they could do the surgery. I said, well, give me the papers. I want to go.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this is probably a time where a lot of people didn't want to go, right?
Oh, yeah.
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 So there might have been a little surprise that you were like, hey, I don't care, I'm going.
Yeah, I wanted to go.
Yeah.
So anyways, I went. I mean, the very first ship that I got after my basic training, it was a reefer ship.
Mm-hmm.
It's a supply ship. And it was in Yokosuka, Japan. I caught it just for the trip back to San Diego. And when we got to San Diego, for the trip back from Yokosuka to San Diego, all I did was peel potatoes. And peeling potatoes, all you do is throw it in a drum, and they spin around till they get peeled, and you wash them and give them to the cook.
I'm just going to tell you, in the Army, we peeled potatoes.
In the Army, you did, yeah.
We peeled potatoes.
Well, yeah, it was a nice trip back because it was a big ship.
Yeah.
No, there was no rocking or nothing. But then when we got to San Diego, I got my new orders to the USS Lipan.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a 201-foot ocean-going tugboat. And it sounds like it's something crappy to be on, but it wasn't. First off, it was stationed out of Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, and it was in dry dock.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to fly out to Pearl. We were staying in a barge at the time, so that's where we stayed, just in the barge till they got done in dry docks. And then as soon as they finished, the Yardbirds were all done with it, and then we got our orders. The very first place we went was to Adak, Alaska. And that's where we went for 3 months. And up there, we went down the island, Aleutian Islands,
Mm-hmm.
and we went to Adak, Sitka, Little Sitkan. And Little Sitkan, we could see Russia from that island. Any of the locals, the females that were pregnant, close to having delivery, we would take them back to the mainland. But then anything else, if there were any surgeries need to be done or whatever, we'd take them back also.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I don't mean to interrupt. I was going to ask, how long, you hadn't been in that long. You've already seen Japan, Hawaii, and now Alaska. I mean, you joined the Navy, see the world, right?
Yeah, this is all over, let's see, that would be probably about a year.
Yeah.
Over a year, yeah,
Yeah.
we'd go up. But
What?
we were up there for 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah, yeah. The water was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
We would go down, as we're going down through the mountains up in Adak, we would hit islands of nothing but seals because you could hear them in a distance. And then as you get closer, you could see the islands with these things wiggling on them.
Uh-huh.
And
Just full of seals?
all nothing but seals.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That'd be something to see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I want to go back a little bit. I just want to ask you, did you go to basic training at Great Lakes?
Yes.
Okay. What was that like for you?
Freezing cold.
Yeah.
I went in and I joined in March.
Uh-huh.
And then we got up there in the snow. We got off the bus and we went into a Quonset hut. They handed us shovels and gloves. Okay, you're shoveling snow. Right off the bat. We didn't even go to bed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Navy. Go shovel snow.
Yeah. In Chicago.
Oof.
Yep.
I did a little time at Great Lakes, so
Yeah.
I get it. It's cold there.
It was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm assuming. So how did basic training go for you?
It was good. A lot of fun, really.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Stand and watch. Now, our company commander, call him a company commander, was first class.
Yeah.
We thought he was something great or scary because a first class, just a first class. That's nothing. But, just going in, you think he's like a general or a colonel or whatever.
Right.
You don't know. But you've got to memorize the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the book memorized real quick. The first night I had a watch, mid-watch, he came through. And I had to stop him, and he started asking me what watches, not the watch, but
Your general orders?
the general orders.
Yes.
Yeah, I started asking me what they were, and I knew them, and I knew them good too.
I think when I went there was 11 general orders, but some services only have like 3 general orders. I should have been in one of those services.
Well, maybe in the Army they did.
Yeah.
We had a thick book.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah. We had a
and
little book they gave us too.
we had to memorize that book. It's, oh man. But I was scared if somebody was coming through.
You don't want to get it wrong, that's for sure. Well, I just kind of wanted to ask you about your boot camp experience, because I always think it's interesting, because some people get there and they're terrified, and some people get there and like, oh, this was fun, and kind of everything in between. So
Well, boot camp was nuts for us.
yeah.
It was, well, I got to go back. To start out boot camp for me, because I needed glasses right off the bat, there were other people that needed hearing aids, glasses, and I forgot what else they might have needed. But we were all misfits. We all needed something.
Uh-huh.
So we were made up of different things. And when we graduated, we were color company. We had all the flags that there were to win.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the greatest things there was. So when we graduated, we were up in the front. I was on the outside row. I was carrying a flag. My mom and dad was there with all my little brothers and sisters.
Oh.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
got to be a good feeling.
Oh yeah, you better believe it.
Yeah. Especially given the choices you were given.
Oh yeah.
So he knew you made it through. So
Yeah.
yeah. So you're in Alaska. You're seeing seals. You're doing all kinds of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And so how long did you kind of do that rotation?
What do you mean?
So you went up to Alaska
Alaska
for 3 months, and did you
3
go back
months,
to
then we
Pearl?
come back home, and then we did trips to Vietnam.
Okay.
We would haul four 50,000-gallon barges to Vietnam. They would haul them out or offload all the fuel. We would haul the barges out and sink them because we couldn't take them back to Hawaii. I mean, they'd be bobbers out there.
Right.
We would just sink them, they'd go down, and we'd haul 4 more back.
How long was that trip to Vietnam?
Oh, it'd take us almost 3 months to go.
Oh my God!
We only went like 12 knots.
Yeah, you're on a 200-foot vessel in the middle of the ocean for
Up
3
and down,
months.
Up and down, yeah.
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 Wow.
And Alaska was worse.
Mm-hmm.
We'd be up there in the Bering Sea. Terrible, terrible. Everybody, well, not everybody, got seasick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Makes for a short chow line, though.
Well, yeah, it was maybe 8 foot long.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had to rescue 3 Marines that got lost on an island up there in Alaska.
Tell me about that.
That was fun.
Yeah.
We had goulash the night we rescued them. They got up there and saw the goulash slopping back and forth.
Uh-huh.
They had to go out on deck and puke.
It's because
But that was-
they're not sailors.
No, but it was planned.
Yeah,
So-
of course, of course. You know what we used to do when we get a new guy is we'd get the canned smoked oysters
Oh, geez.
and those like little canned octopus and
Yeah.
sardines, and then we'd smoke cigars and eat those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was our initiation anyway. So yeah. So how long were you in the Navy for then?
4 years.
4 years.
I got out 2 months early
Okay.
for my mom's funeral. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So how long? So were you at Pearl the whole time? Then?
Well, in and out. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the whole 4 years was right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was just back and forth to Vietnam then.
Oh
and-
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And Alaska. They went down to Australia one time,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't there. I was home for my son's birth.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't get to become a shellback.
Mm-hmm. Which that happened to me. I was on a ship, and they did a North Atlantic cruise, but we did some other stuff with different. Anyway, they ended up crossing the equator, and but I had been shipped off to school like the week before, so I got to see all the pictures.
Yeah, you couldn't become a shellback.
No,
Yeah.
and that's important
It sure
when
is.
you're in the Navy.
It sure is. Yeah.
It's a really cool honor. I would just tell people, look it up. If you want to know what shellback is, look up the shellback initiation. I don't think they're allowed to do it anymore, but I'm sure they find a way to
Oh,
make
they
it happen.
still do it. They
Yeah.
still do it. Oh yeah.
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 So you said you went home for your son's birth. Did you get married at some point in there?
Oh, I was married. Oh, geez. I don't remember when. Well, I was married September 11th. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember now.
Okay, but you were already in the Navy when you got
Yeah.
married. Okay.
Yeah.
Local gal from Michigan,
Uh-huh.
or
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me about your wife,
Oh,
if you want to.
she was a sweetie. Yeah. I was going with a girl when I went in the Navy. I wasn't there a month. She didn't send me a Dear John. She sent me a Dear Don.
Yeah. Just as bad, I'm assuming.
But it worked out
Uh-huh.
because she introduced me to Cindy, and Cindy started writing me, and we just started writing back and forth. And I met her as soon as I got home. That's when I met her face to face,
Mm-hmm.
and we just kept writing back and forth. And the first time we went out, I was driving the car down, and my hand kind of ducked in her cleavage. She says, man, that's where it went. Nowhere.
Right.
She was a good girl.
Yeah.
Stayed that way. I went back and let's see, I was gone about 8 months, and I came home on another leave. You know, we were just driving around, going to dinner and stuff, going out. We made out a little bit and stayed in the cleavage. That's it.
Right.
She's a very good girl. I mean,
Kept you honest.
I loved her for that. I really did. Oh, and going back a little bit, when I went in, when I met her mom,
Mm-hmm.
she pulled Cindy aside, and she asked her, "How old is that man?" Because I was balding
Yeah.
when I was 16. And she thought I was really old.
Yeah, that might be a problem.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
might be a problem. So you had, how many children did you end up having?
Pardon me?
How many children did you have?
We had three.
Okay.
Yeah, she had one miscarriage,
Oh,
but we had 3 kids. Yeah.
all right. Boys and girls?
2 boys and a girl.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so your first was born while you were stationed at Pearl,
Yes,
and then you flew
Yes.
home for that birth.
yes. And then when my mom passed,
Mm-hmm.
that I got out for that, but then while I was home, I put in for a discharge, and they gave it to me.
Mm-hmm.
I only had another like 3 months to go,
Right.
and they gave me a discharge. They sent all my stuff home, and that was that.
Okay.
So,
And then did you settled in the Detroit area then?
oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We over right off South River.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got a home on Muffet, over off South River.
So you're not too far from your home then,
Oh no,
being here.
oh no. We used to drive by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, so tell me a little bit about your kids. You got home. You already had a son, then you got home and you had 2 more.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about them.
Well, they grew up. They went to school. Both my boys graduated high school. Michael graduated 3rd in his class. Donald graduated, I don't know, 20th, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
Shannon, she was down there in the middle. Michael loved school. Donald didn't. He just wanted to get out. That was it.
Yeah.
He joined the Army after he got out. Let's see, Michael, that's what he did. He went to Texas, and he got into where he was operating a train yard,
Mm-hmm.
and he had 70 employees, and they had 300 cars in the rail yard, and they had to be cleaned every night for sugar, because that's what they hauled,
Uh-huh.
sugar every day. And then Donald, I don't remember what he got into. He moved up to Seattle,
Oh, okay.
and he got married up there. And he was up there when that volcano erupted.
Oh.
My wife was up there too. He went up to visit. She went up to visit.
Uh-huh.
And she was up there when that erupted. And that was a mess.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, very huge.
That was.
So,
I remember that year that erupted, it impacted the weather here in Michigan because we didn't really have a summer that whole year
yeah,
because of the ash that was in the air from that
all the way
volcano.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And that crazy reporter that walked up there.
I know.
Man,
They made a movie about him though.
yeah.
He didn't get to enjoy it, but
No, he's nuts.
yeah. So,
Boy.
well, so it sounds like what about your daughter? What did she end up doing?
She wound up marrying a guy. They have Sean, Alex, and Christian.
Mm-hmm.
3 boys. Yep. And they now live in Iowa.
Oh,
Yeah. He was a truck driver, or is a truck driver. And that's where his company went, so that's where they went.
so how many grandchildren do you have then altogether?
Oh, I have, let's see, 4 grandchildren and 1 great-granddaughter,
Okay,
Brooklyn Marie.
nice name.
Yeah,
That's really nice.
very pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's kind of rewind a little bit and go back to when you got out of the Navy and you came home. And so, what happens next? What do you do after that?
Oh, I got a job, let's see. We were here. I worked for my brother for a little while. He had a machine shop. He wanted me to come to work for him. So I worked for him, and then he wanted to move to Texas. So, okay, we'll go. Try it out, see how it works. So I worked for him for think it was about 7 years. And as the saying goes, you never work for family.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth. You never work for family. So I told them that Cindy wanted a divorce if we don't go back home.
Oh,
Well, that was bullshit,
well,
but I had to get out of there somehow.
right.
So, anyways, he said, okay, I'll see you later. We moved back. I came up here, stayed for, I think we stayed for another 8 years. Went back to Texas. I got a job up here in a machine shop,
Mm-hmm.
little rinky-dink shop, but it wasn't anything that I was enjoying. So I told my wife, I said, let's go back. She said, okay. Well, no, I got to go back. Her brother moved back to Texas.
Okay.
She wanted to go back because he was there.
So now she has family there too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we moved down there, her reason. And then once we got down there, 6 months later, he left to California. And I told us, we're not going to California.
I don't blame you.
No, not there. And he's still there, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But we moved down there. I got a job at a place called Preco. And it was a pretty good sized machine shop. And the guy's name that owned it was Roger Brown. And his partner, I forget his name, but they were both millionaires. A lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
They started their shop with welders, 2 welders, that's it. And they built it up to over 80 employees. I mean, they had a good business going, really good one. And we were working every day, 6 days a week. We could volunteer for Sundays. Most of the time, Sundays were double time.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was a holiday, they'd pay us 3 times, triple time.
Wow.
And we didn't have no problem volunteering for that.
Yeah.
It was good money. All of us got paid over $25 an hour all the time. I mean, this is in the 70s.
Yeah, that's really good money.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I had no problem bringing home for the year, 125 grand. I mean, my wife loved it.
Oh, yeah.
So.
You were working all the time.
Oh
so,
yeah. Oh, exactly. She had a job. There was a pharmacy down there. Mark and Nancy Waldron had a pharmacy, and we wound up meeting them. And they asked Cindy if she wanted to work in a pharmacy. And she didn't know nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And Nancy said, well, we'll teach you. Come on, work with us. And she did. And what she did, she made out the prescriptions
Mm-hmm.
and gave them to Mark. He checked them, and then they'd send them off. Then eventually, she became the driver delivering the prescriptions. Most of them went to senior living centers,
Mm-hmm.
and she did great at that. So everything was working out great. Everything was going just super. And that's the way it was down there.
Yeah. So how'd you end up back here? Or did you stay down there for a long time then?
Oh yeah, 20 years.
Okay.
20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Cindy worked for them for I think about 7 years.
Uh-huh.
I worked for Preco for, oh my goodness, I think 15 years. And 401k,
Mm-hmm.
I had a ton of money in there. And now I get, well, from Masco, I get $150 a month. Preco, it's Preco GE, or GE Preco, I get $650 a month. The VA, $3 grand a month.
Yeah.
I get a lot of money.
You got a good retirement going.
Very good, very good.
So
yeah.
what brought you back to Michigan then?
I was retired. I mean, it just,
Yeah.
I didn't want to stay down there. Not really.
Mm-hmm.
This is, well, I lost my wife. My family lives up here. And
So
nothing was really keeping me down there.
So she passed away when you lived in
Down there.
Down there.
Down
okay.
there, yeah.
All right. Can I ask what happened?
Breast cancer.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't breast cancer. She was cancer-free for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it came back as leukemia. Took 2 weeks to kill her.
Yeah.
So I had her cremated. I brought her back here.
And when we were talking earlier, I think we weren't even on camera at that point, but she was your best friend. She was the love of your life. And you were married, how long did you say? Almost 50 years?
2 weeks shy of 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that like for you? I mean, you got this life going, things are going well,
I know,
and then all of a sudden they're not. So
Yeah. Yeah.
how was that? What was that like for you?
I was pissed off at God for taking her.
Uh-huh.
But I was also thankful that he took her so fast.
Yeah.
Because you look at some of these people that have had leukemia for 10, 15 years, and he took my wife so quick. She didn't have to suffer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's either or.
Right.
You know, how would you look at it?
Right. I mean, yeah.
So.
I think personally I'd rather go
Yeah,
quickly than
absolutely.
have it linger. Oh. Oh, you got me. I'm going to have to
Absolutely.
mark that down so I know that I got to check this out.
Yeah.
There we go. So
I had the sound turned down, but apparently it just doesn't want to do it.
So you pretty much worked in the trades then your whole life after the military.
Yes.
Oh, even in the military, yeah, because you were a machinist.
Yes.
And then your dad worked in the trades as well.
Yes.
So kind of, it must be in your genes somehow.
All my brothers were.
Yeah.
All of them, yeah. It's just in their brains.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm good at what I did. I was great. I loved it. I had to make 1 thread per inch. And nobody ever did it in a machine shop. And my boss come up and asked me if I wanted to do it. I said, yeah, let's try it. So while I was doing it and making it and figuring out how to do it, I had half the machine shop watching me. I had to read the book how to do it first.
Yeah.
And then I made it. And it came out perfect.
You can't ask for much more than that.
No, no. Oh, I loved what I did. I really did. Yeah.
And so you moved back up here though after your wife passed away. You were around family.
Well, she passed away, and then I started thinking about it. I lived in the senior center for about 3 months, and I said, "Nah, this shit ain't for me. Not with all these old people."
Too young.
Yeah, I just didn't feel like I needed to be there, so I came back.
Now, did you buy a house here, or did you come back and move into the?
Well, I rented an apartment.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to break the lease over there. And the woman in there said, I can't. I said, oh, yeah, I can. So one day the owner was there that ran that place. And I told him, I said, I need to break that lease because I want to get in the Veterans Center. And he said, well, break the lease. I don't care. So the woman that ran it got all pissed off.
Yeah.
I always do that. I don't care.
Right. Well, and I think to some extent you're a veteran, and maybe that helps.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, what does it matter if we break a lease?
Right. Somebody else is going to rent that apartment.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, they had a lot of empty ones anyway.
Right.
So, but yeah, I wanted to get in here, really bad.
How long have you been at the Veterans Home or the Veterans Center?
Here?
Yeah.
Almost 2 years, or just over 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you like it?
I love it.
It's a wonderful.
love it.
I think it's a wonderful place.
Oh, it couldn't be any better.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sister comes in. She keeps telling me how I got it made, and I do. She'd like to live in here.
I know. I've been to the one in Grand Rapids. This is my first time here, but I told my wife. I said, you know, when it's time for us to think about this is where I want to be.
They got one in Lansing,
A veterans
home.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll have to check that out.
almost positive they do. Yeah, look for it.
I will do that.
Or is that Ann Arbor?
Well, it's Grand. There's one in Grand Rapids.
Or Grand Rapids.
Yeah, Grand Rapids, which is only 40 minutes from
Yeah.
Lansing. So yeah, I've been there. I've got a while. I'm happy where I'm at, but at some point I'm going to want to
Well, hell yes.
sell my house and move. So it's definitely worth looking at.
You're still married?
I am. You know, we've covered a lot. We've talked about your life and your family, and all of that. Is there anything we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
I don't know.
I know you made some notes.
Oh, my son that was in Texas, working with that railroad, he committed suicide
Oh,
after my wife passed. Probably about 4 months after, because he loved his mom so much.
that's hard.
That's why he committed suicide. Yeah.
Wow.
And I know that's why he committed suicide.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I know that you talked about him in past tense, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Now, was he married?
No,
Okay, he was single.
never married. He loved his mom.
Uh-huh.
There was one time when we lived in the house that we had, he brought a girl over, but we were having a barbecue in the back. And this girl told Michael, he says, I don't know what I think about your mom, or what to think about your mom. He said, what do you mean? She said, I don't know how I feel about her. He said, well, what do you mean? She says, I don't know. He said, well, you can go ahead and go home. She said, what do you mean? He says, get the hell out of here. He didn't like anybody saying anything bad about his mom.
Yeah.
She said, well, how am I supposed to get home? Walk.
Figure it out.
Oh, that's the way he was about his mom.
Yeah.
He just really loved her. Nobody said nothing bad about her. When he lived in Del Rio, Texas, and we lived in Houston, that was a 5-hour drive. He'd call when he was coming in, and he'd only come in just to eat. Then he'd drive back home. He'd call Cindy. He'd tell her, he says, I'm coming down for a couple hours. She'd say, what do you want to eat? He'd tell her, and she'd make it for him.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really nice.
And then at Tupperware dishes, she'd make him up a couple extra dinners, different dinners, for him to take home with him. He'd come in just to eat.
Yeah.
But that's the way they were. It didn't matter.
Sounds like a nice relationship.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that was just the way it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
How soon after your wife passed away did your son commit suicide?
I'd say it was about 3 or 4 months.
Oh, so it wasn't very long after.
No, oh no.
How was that for you?
I knew. I knew it. Yeah. It didn't hurt me.
Right?
I felt good about it because I knew his soul was going to be with her soul.
Which is really what he wanted.
Yeah, yeah. And the girl that was his friend over in Del Rio, she called me, and said that they were going to have him cremated if they can have the ashes. I said, sure, that's okay. Michael was such a good kid. He had so many friends, it's ridiculous. He had so many pictures. I had to mail them to my brother-in-law because he had a wake for Michael kind of a wake. It was everybody getting together and having a big old drinking party.
Right.
Yeah. There had to been, Kenny said there had to been about 200 people there, everybody drinking. But that was Michael.
Mm-hmm.
He'd take trips all the time. Most of them were to Cozumel. That was Michael. That was my son. Loved to party.
Mm-hmm.
We took him to, I forget the name of the park, not a park, down in Texas where they have concerts. We took him down there because the guy that was headlining it, he was there, and Michael invited us to come down and see him. Damn it. I got the name of the kid on the tip of my tongue. He cusses a lot. Just a nasty kid.
Uh-huh.
Can't think of his damn name. But the kid was starting in front of him. He's kind of a religious guy. Mm-hmm. And the team didn't make sense, but he was kind of opening for this kid.
Uh-huh.
And Michael took us back to meet both of them.
Oh.
Neither one of them swore in front of my wife, which I thought that was nice.
Yeah.
So
keep it classy, right?
Yeah. But I mean, it was nice that he invited us back there.
Yeah.
But Michael stayed and he got drunk as hell with him. So. But I mean, I don't like the kid
mm-hmm.
because of his language.
Right.
I mean, people love him for that. I don't get it.
Yeah, it just depends on what your thing is, right? Like,
yeah.
That's just not what you...
It's not mine, no.
No, not at all.
Not my cup of tea, not a bit.
Mm-mm. No. Well, Don, we covered your time in the military. We kind of covered your life. We've talked about a lot of different things this afternoon. As we wrap up our conversation for the recording, I always ask kind of the same question at the end, and that is, years from now, if somebody's listening to this, what do you want them to take away from your life story?
I don't know. Just to love everybody. I mean, get along. Life is too short to be pissed off at anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like being mad at anybody. We're here. I mean, it's a wonderful planet, and we're beating it up. There's nothing we can do about our government.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there is, but that takes voters.
Right.
I don't know. I'm only one person. Enough of us together, we can do something.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for taking time out today to come sit and talk with me. It was really nice to meet you.
It's been enjoyable. Really
Thank you for watching the story of one of our nation's heroes on Veterans Archives, where your story matters. We are dedicated to preserving these stories for future generations.